I'm very happy to introduce Matt Knopf, who was a student in last year's Startup 101. He attached himself to one of our top teams last year, Soteria, which comes out of Jim Wells' lab. Matt was a real find because he's got a long resume of titles like Vice President of Business Development, Senior Director of Business Development, Vice President of Business. So this is a guy who has demonstrated that he knows how to get in places. He knows how to get interviews, how to find people who are hard to find, how to get through all the admin. And so I invited Matt to share his tips with us today, and I'm sure he'll be happy to take questions.
I'm very excited to be here. I'm here today to help you put together interviews so that you can collect information, so you can put together the best business plan. I've got about 15 plus years of business development experience, mostly in the media space, working with TV companies and newspapers and putting together long-term strategic deals that take years and years to put together and take a lot of networking to get done. Have a background, I've got an MBA. Anyone else, any other MBAs besides Stephanie? All right, yes, all right. See, that's what I love about this class, is because Silicon Valley, MBAs all over the place. Here, we're a rare commodity, so I like it here. I am a graduate of last year's class, had a lot of fun. Was on Team Soteria, so we were working with some scientists out of Jim Wells' lab who were working on a unique protein switch. It was an activation switch for CAR T cell therapy. As you may know, it's a very hot space with Juno and Kite being acquired, and the FDA approving 2 new drugs for treatment of cancer, blood cancer. It's a very hot space. So, how do we go about getting meetings? I'm going to take you through a quick process. I know we got 20 minutes, but identification. Who are you going after? Location. Where do I find them? Communication. How do I reach out to them? Interaction. When I get a meeting with these folks, what's the best thing to do and how to behave and follow up? Collaboration. How do I work and collaborate with my team, divide and conquer, and really project manage this whole process? Some of you, anyone not recognize this gentleman? So if any of you are, questioning why I need to do interviews, take a look at this. Apple were masters of creating products before customers even knew that they needed them. Who knew they needed an iPod or iPhone? But they spent a lot of times with their customers, listening to customers. And so this is some of the value of why you're doing these interviews. So in order to start doing these interviews, you have to understand, who is my customer? What is the problem I'm trying to solve? For us, we were working on, so in the CAR T cell therapy space, there were a lot of adverse effects with some of these clinical trials. And what these scientists had come up with, this on-off switch, helped mitigate adverse effects. So we were going after any pharma companies that were in the space. So what we did is, we determined that the WHO were pharma companies that were working in the CAR T cell therapy space. So that became the WHO for us. You may not know the WHO, but the only way you find out the WHO is by doing this interview. So not only did we talk to pharma companies, we talked to leading scientists in the space, we talked to hospitals as well, to really find out, who's the best customer for this. When you're trying to determine who your customer is, let's say that you're a startup pharma company and your business model is you work with a pharma company who pays you to license your product, and then that pharma company sells to hospitals and they sell or they treat patients, and then the insurance companies pay for that drug. In that scenario, who is your customer? The answer is it's the pharma company that's licensing your product, because they are taking money. The person who takes money out of their wallet and gives it to you, that's your customer. So keep that in mind. How do I find these people? Okay, I want to start setting up these interviews. How do I find them? How do I put together a list? So does anyone use LinkedIn on a regular basis? Okay, oh, great. So as a business development professional, like this is my weapon. Like this is, you know, in the West where you got the guns, or the medieval knights, you got the sword. This is the weapon. So let's say that you're a company, you're in the dermatology space. You've got a medical device in the dermatology space. So you go onto LinkedIn, and you can do a great search by, let's say, so keywords. You put in dermatology, or you know, a specific treatment within dermatology. Locations, you want to do San Francisco. Industries, let's say pharma. Let's say you want to target alumni of UCSF. So you want to start out, you know, that way. This is a great way for you to put together, you put in all these parameters, you hit search, and it'll spit out an entire list of people based on the parameters that you put in. So that is one way to put together a target list. Another way is take advantage of your UCSF mentors. We got to know our mentors very well. We had weekly meetings with both of them. They were very helpful in putting together connections. In addition, there's not just your one or two mentors. If you go on the website, you know, Stephanie's put together a list of all these mentors. Take advantage of them. Reach out to you. They're there to help you. I mean, this is why people go to UCSF, because you have this network. I mean, you can, you know, people go to Harvard and UCSF. It's a lot of the stuff you can learn in books on YouTube, but it's the network. You can't get that by going online. So take advantage of these people that you get to meet. News search. You know, just go on Google and do searches for your area of expertise, the business that you're trying to start, and try and find, you know, press releases. Try and find the people who are making an announcement and put them in your target list. So all these people, every time you're doing a search, you cut and paste and you put it in your spreadsheet to create this target list. Conferences are an incredibly valuable resource. So again, I'm just taking dermatology as an example. Go to the the Academy of Dermatology, whatever the organization or whatever specialty that you're after. Go to their website. Every website has a list of conferences, and so you spit out the list of conferences, and some of them may be in San Francisco. If they're in San Francisco, go and look and see who the speakers are, and reach out to every one of them. Hey, I see that you're coming to San Francisco. Love to take you to a coffee. You don't have to I mean, the conferences are expensive, so you don't have to necessarily go. In fact, a lot of people at the conferences never even attend the conferences. They're just out there to take meetings. If you know, sometimes you can get into the conferences. You can write them and say, I'm a poor student, help me in. Sometimes you do what I do. You put on a lanyard from a previous conference and you get on your cell phone and you just walk. No. They're not going to mess with you on your cell phone. So you just save $5,000 that way. I didn't tell you that. All right. So anyways, that's another way to get in. But if you can make one connection at the meeting, at the conference, it's definitely worth it. So there was a oncology conference here in town, and I just reached out to him blindly. And we met up with him. He was in town, and he became a mentor for us. He was a former VP at Kite, and he became an incredible resource for us. Communication. How do you reach out to these folks? So you've gone on LinkedIn. You found all 500 dermatology experts. You've gone on Google, and you found all the key companies leading the space. You found their VPs of business development, or you found their VP of sales or VP of partnerships, or their head researcher, the head scientist for dermatology. You've got the list of 500 people that you put together. Well, now what? You know, how do I reach out to them? Well, email is the recommended method that I would do, because phone calls can be a little bit, you know, not everyone picks up the phone these days. But email obviously is a great resource. You don't always have to know the email. Don't let that stop you. 95% of the time, it's just first name dot last name at company.com, or first initial at last name, you know, company.com. And then there's a couple services like Hunter or emailchecker.net where you just take a guess and it'll say, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. Yes, you're right. So it's just hit and miss. But I mean, I use that every single day. So that's a great way to get the email addresses. Another website, CEO Mail, this will tell you the format. There are some companies that try and trick you, right? So like Genentech. Genentech is last name dot first name, right? Oh, that's required a lot of code breaking, but if you go to CEO Mail, you could have just found the CEO's email and then you guess the domain. So that's a nice little trick that they can find. Data.com, I don't know if any of you have heard of this. It's a great website. If you want to get someone's telephone number and contact information, you upload contacts, your contacts, and for every contact that you upload, you get one for free. And it'll give you the name and phone number. So it's a very cool service. Yeah. Well, yeah, you don't want to upload all your personal contacts, but business contacts. But hey, it's very helpful for getting telephone numbers. Telephone numbers can be very hard. Email prospecting. Okay, I've gone on LinkedIn, I've gone to conferences, I've gone on news, I've got my list of 100 people I want to reach out to. I've tapped into UCSF mentors, so I've got my list, right? I've got their email addresses, right? So now I got to reach out to them. How do I do that? Some tips. Play up the student angle. Everyone went to school, right? Well, yeah, everyone has gone to school. Not everyone's gone to UCSF to get a PhD, but everyone's gone to school, so they sympathize. So play up the student angle. What's in it for them? Let them know, if they do take the time to talk to you, what they're going to get out of it, what they're going to learn. Be persistent. Not everyone's going to return your email. Reach out the next week, and then reach out the next week. There's a fine line between persistent and annoying. You don't want to cross that line. You don't want to email them every day. But if they don't respond, wait a week. Find out something that the company is working on. Oh, so when you reach out the second time, oh, I heard you acquired this company XYZ. That's fantastic. I've done some work in that space. By the way, I'd love to talk to you. So that's a good way to follow up. Show that you know their business. And then there are really good times to get an email response. Weekends, no. You don't want to email people on the weekends. Here's actually a statistical study done by a company called HubSpot, which I use a lot for business development tracking. Tuesdays are actually the best day for open rates, ironically. A little bit better than Monday. So Tuesday and Thursday and Wednesday are good days. And actually time of day is important as well. Don't email people at 4 in the morning or 9 at night. 11 o'clock is like the peak open rate. So another little tip there. It's little things like this that really, do the trick.
What is the scale?
What's that? What's the?
I'm just joking.
The scale here?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is open rate.
Yeah, well, it could be that it's like 1% change. So it's like.
No, it's actually, it's actually from here to here is double. Yeah, I just cut out the scale just because I wanted to make it big because the numbers were so small that I needed to make it big. But yes, it's about double between here and here. So every little thing does make a difference.
That hour is at 11 p.m.?
That's AM. AM. Yeah, sorry it's small, but there's 24 hours in a day. So here is my template. I wanted to just show you so that it could emphasize the points I made earlier. Subject line. So you want to do something that catches their attention. Discussing CAR-T regulation and immunotherapy with UCSF scientists. Well, that sounds pretty cool. That sounds like something I'd like to learn about if I'm a VP of research or business development at a pharma company. My name is Matt, and I'm currently taking an entrepreneurship class at UCSF. As part of this class, we work on teams to develop an idea and analyze its feasibility as a business. A critical part of this exercise is performing interviews to help determine product market fit. This is why I'm contacting you. So you let them know, hey, I'm a poor student. Can you help me? This is what I need. And don't worry, I'll make this available so you can copy and paste. Go ahead and take photos if you want. But you've let them know exactly why you're contacting them. My team is comprised of scientists that have developed a novel approach in cancer therapeutics centering on how to regulate CAR-T cells during immunotherapy treatments to avoid severe adverse effects, making you an ideal person given Genentech's leadership in the oncology space. So you've let them know, I know your space, this is what I'm working on, you caught their attention. I imagine you're very busy, but if you could spare 15 minutes of your time to get your feedback, it would really help me and my teammates get the most out of this course while hopefully educating you on some of the exciting breakthroughs we are making here at UCSF. So you've let them know what's in it for them. Let them know about your development first before their boss finds out about it, right? Please let me know some times that work for you. For a call, or we can swing by your office. And little trick is, oh, you got a question?
We have that people don't like to be like alone.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 2 paragraphs. I didn't think it was too long. You know, you got to test it. You got to see, you know, do some, maybe 1 paragraph, some 2, some 3, see what works. Everyone's different. This worked for us. I went through probably 20 iterations. So this one worked for us. Yeah, but you got to test and optimize. Okay, cool. They've responded. Yeah, I'm interested. We should get together. I'd like to hear more. In person is always better because you can read the person's face. You know, first of all, if you get on the phone, 95% of the chance they're checking emails, they got their texts, you know, chat. You get them in a room, you got their full attention. They're not on their computer. You can read their face. You propose an idea, you can see, you know, you can look at their face if they're going, ooh, you know, clearly that's not something that's resonating with them. If they go like, you know, then you know you're onto something. So that reading that body language is like poker. The best poker players win because they can read, you know, body language. Not against other professionals, but suckers. So leave a positive impression. You want to arrive early. Trust me on this. Do not be late for meetings, please. You're telling the person, I don't respect you or your time. You know, and it looks bad for you, the school, and most of all, Stephanie. You don't want to piss off Stephanie. So don't be late. And also, you never know. There's going to be traffic. You're going to get lost. I mean, just today, I forgot. I didn't know what room this class was in. So I went to our old room across the street. But because I got here half an hour early, I built that in. Something is always going to go wrong. Whenever I have meetings, I always prepare to get there an hour ahead of time. In fact, a few months ago, I had a meeting with one of the largest newspapers, and I got in a car accident. Totaled my car. But I was like, I'm not going to be late for this meeting. So, and I got there 1 minute late. I'm still pissed that I was 1 minute late. So, just get there early. Do your homework. Make sure, you know, do some background on the person. You know, maybe they went to the same school as you, or maybe they, you know, lived in Europe. Like, you know, you lived in Europe, and they speak a language. You know, get to know them. Go on their Twitter, go on their Facebook feed, go on their LinkedIn feed. Find out something about them. Bring them a present, bottle of wine, or whatever they're into, or a UCSF shirt, or something to make them remember you. And remember to listen, like the Steve Jobs quote. Listen to their pain points. Listening is the key. Because maybe you've got an idea of how you want to solve the problem, and that you hear something, you're like, oh, maybe we should pivot to this. Video conferencing, if you can't, so first of all, if you really, really want a meeting, let's say there's some customer that you really want to meet, and they're out in Ohio, and if you have the budget, you know, get on a Southwest flight, if you really want to meet them in person, like a good technique is say, hey, you know, I'm going to be in Cleveland next week. Not necessarily a lie, because if they say yes, then you are going to be in Cleveland. But if you let them know and say, I'd love to swing by your office when I'm there. Oh, okay, cool. So now that really helps with face-to-face meetings. Again, if you could afford it, but only, you know, if it's the right target. Video conferencing is a nice backup because again, you can see their face and you know they're not distracted. So Skype, Google Hangouts, those are good tools for that. And then if you can't do any of those for conference calls as your backup, I use Uber Conference, Join Me, but Uber Conference is fantastic. I use this every single day. Finally, how do you work together? How do you divide and conquer? So here's an example of my target list. You know, here are the companies. Put down notes for each company. We divided and conquer. We assigned who the team member was. We then put down their email address and then status. And so we use Google Docs. So does everyone here know Google Docs? Right, so you just sign up for a Google account and you can share in real time. So you can all edit. If you're in 5 different locations, you can all edit and find all your, edit the document as you're in real time when you're in different spaces. So it really helps for collaboration. You can do PowerPoints And you can do Word documents, but this is, Google Sheets is very powerful for project managing your target list and for organizing your informational interviews. Slack is another very cool tool for, every tech company uses it now. It's basically a combination between instant messenger and an electronic bulletin board. So it's you can organize things like conference, you can create channel conferences or press releases or homework for Stephanie and various different channels, and then post something so other people can read it, or you can instant message, also video conference as well. So that is it. Remember to have fun. I loved my experience here. My team members and I, a year later, we're still very good friends. We go out for beers on a regular basis. We still hope to make a business out of it. It takes some time. But regardless, they're going to be lifelong friends. Get to know your team well, but also get to know everyone on the team. Because like I said before, the value of UCSF is the network. Here's my email address. If you ever need advice, feel free to reach out to me. I'll get back to you right away. Making my deck available so that you can cut and paste my letter. I just want 51% of your business. I think that's a fair trade. I'm talking to the IP office. And with that, I'm done. I'll take any questions.
I'd love some advice on how you, once you've identified actually competitors in the field, how do you actually kind of, I don't know, stealth mode, non-stealth mode, how do you get a good interview out of them?
Yeah, I mean, we talk to everyone, I'd say probably about a fourth of the target list were competitors. And you don't tell them your secret sauce, right? If I were you, I would sit down very closely with your lawyers and say, and you really got to rehearse how you can define your value proposition without revealing your secret sauce. That is a very key thing to learn and something that our scientists were very good at. So as long as you can do that, you can set up meetings with them. And look, they want to know who's coming down the pipe. They want to know who's going to compete with them in the future. And so you can position it as a way as, hey, maybe there's a way that we can work together. I'd love to tell you what I'm working on. And let me know your thoughts. So we talked to companies like Bellicom, which are doing the same thing that we were working on, and they were very open with us. It helped that we're students, right? So they're not gonna, if we were Genentech or some other company, they're like, but you're students. Yeah, they want your advice, on things that the latest breakthroughs. So if you're coming to them and saying, hey, I can educate you on some of the latest breakthroughs that we're working on, then they're getting something out of it, right? So that's one way of reaching out to them. So just don't reveal your secret sauce. Let them know that you're going to educate them, and there may be a way to partner going forward. Because for all you know, they might end up acquiring you, right? So if they're a well-funded organization and there's a missing piece of the puzzle that you have solved that they haven't, that could be a strategic investment for you. Yeah.
Where did you get legal advice while you were going through this class? Because you just mentioned that, you consult with your lawyers before,
Yeah, so there's an IP office here that the scientists on my team were working with. That's, I don't know if are you a PhD student here? So, Stephanie could probably tell you better than I am who are the contacts of the IP office.
This is great. I'm a little stuck on the Steve Jobs quote. I feel the trap there. Get so close to them that you know what they need well before they realize it themselves. I mean, that can lend to confirmation bias. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the point really was getting to know your customers. And if there are classes, or if there are teams here who haven't set up interviews, and it's already week 3? Time flies. And when you're setting up these meetings, someone will say, yeah, I'm interested, but I'm not available for 2 weeks. And pretty soon, the class is over and you have to set up your interviews. My point of that quote was, set up your meetings, right? Not necessarily, you're smarter than your customer, right? But set up your meetings, getting to know them. That was my point. So if you haven't set up interviews, stop what you're doing all night long, get on LinkedIn and start putting together that target list. Because time flies. And these guys are busy and it takes weeks to get meetings.
I mean, I second everything you just said.
I wish my wife would say that.
That's why you need the house, that's one of the things, right?